Greetings everyone, my name is Buck Business, and today I will be reviewing Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 7, XCVIII. So we start with an interesting flashback where we see young Jack going up this cliff, and these three little sheep start to follow him up. So he looks up at these pillars, and he sees that one of the sheep has a symbol on it, on the pillar. And then he sees one of the sheep is moving, and it ends up walking towards one of the last portals, apparently. Jack attempts to jump through it, but Aku stops him. And again, Aku claims that this is the last portal and he had destroyed it. And with that, Jack's rage intensifies. And Aku decides to have a bit of fun with him, and then ends up transforming the sheep into these more like creatures, which Jack now has to fight off. And when he slays them, they turn back into the smaller version of the sheep. And that pain resided in Jack once he did that. His sword falls down the cliff. And that is the end of the flashback. Then we see Jack riding along with Ashi on this big white bird, and they are traveling back to that location, into the depths of that rock cliff. So, this area still carries that burden that Jack had committed to this day. So, Jack sits, and odd things start to happen behind him, and he ends up sort of going to a different location in his mind, appearing in this grassy like field, and he ends up on this raft, and we see these flashes of light, and he's in a different body of water. Then we see this small blue creature ask if Jack is lost. Meanwhile, Ashi has to stop this incoming army. So she comes down as they are approaching, and she says that she's going to kill each and every one of them to protect Jack. They charge at her, and she fights with one, ramming them into the rest of the crowd. She's using the spears against them. And while that is happening, Jack is now going through a very traditional Japanese tea making process. Very traditional, and it's a very relaxed comparison to what Ashi is doing, which is continuing to fight. And again, we see that opposite sort of vibe going on with the precision and the calmness in which Jack is trying to do all these steps in order to complete the tradition. So we see the blue creature returns into this yellow creature. I believe it was supposed to be that color to begin with, but anyways, as she sees that some of them, or one of the creatures, or something had appeared at the top of the hill, so she calls the bird to pick her back up to the top, and she catches this arrow that was shot at Jack. And then a slew of arrows comes, and then she also stops them. And then Ashi's mother comes forth, and Ashi claims that Jack's path is the true path, the good path, but her mother is still not buying it, of course. So they both get ready to battle. And the mother is also, while they are battling, trying to hit Jack from time to time, but Ashi also now has to stop her from doing that as well as holding her back in general. So eventually, Ashi hits her own mother with an arrow right through the chest, or right through the midsection. And Jack completes his task, but the the creature says that he did not complete his task properly. And then we see this red version of Jack appear, and this red Jack is very angered. And Jack starts blaming the red Jack for all of his problems, all of his pain, all of his hurt, and how all of that hate blinded him. And once he's able to accept that, he's able to see the light. And that is actually what he needed to balance himself. So these three figures appear, and they give him this light, and he's restored back to his former self, and given his proper sword, which probably has magical properties. I assume that's what has always been the case. But I guess his look is also a part of that. His clothes, I guess, are also a part of that. His look, as I said, also a part of that transition into being the true Jack. Anyways, Jack finally wakes up to check on Ashy and all she was going through. And then Jack claims that they're finally going after a coup. So, pretty interesting episode. I liked seeing how this inner world that Jack moved into was much more about just facing his own demon. Or demons, plural. He went through all this process just to find out. And I think that it was set up like that on purpose for him to fail, just so that red version could appear, just so that could be the real test. Very interesting. I also liked seeing Ashy just completely devastate this entire army by herself. She's definitely very skilled. And we've seen that prior, and we see that again here. So, very interesting episode. Samurai Jack, to me, has only had, at least for this season, one episode that seems a little bit weakish, but that is fine. I mean, every other episode has been completely awesome. Just completely awesome, and can't wait to see what happens. So, that is my review for this episode. So, if you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, farewell, everyone.